I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Okay, welcome everybody to the York County Board of Commissioners meeting for July 11th, the first one of the 23-24 fiscal year. Roll call, please.
Brooks.
Present.
Bear.
Present.
Ziegler.
Present.
Sykes.
Present.
Oldenburg.
Present. Open meetings law is posted on the south side of our chambers. It is also in the hallway outside of our chambers, plus on the website. Proof of publication was in the York News Times July 1st. It was also noticed on our website. Next up, we need to review and approve the minutes of our June 27th Board of Commissioner meeting.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Sykes.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Ziegler.
Yes.
And Oldenburg.
Yes, adopt today's agenda, gentlemen.
Move to adopt the agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Bear.
Yes.
Ziegler.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
And Oldenburg.
Yes. Okay, officials forum. See a couple, but do they want a forum?
No,
Okay.
nothing new to report.
All right, thank you. Public comment. At this time, the public may step forward if they would like to and comment on something that's on the agenda or off the agenda. Morning. Morning, Willard.
Morning, Willard Peterson, 514 Road 13, York, but I'm from Bradshaw. Talk to the Postal Service, why I have to say York. Anyway, just one comment after last week's meeting and the talk about the 1% budget authority after the incident last night with weather and so forth, and I could report on 2 more places I found on roads that might have come in handy.
Thank you, Willard. Anybody else at this time? Seeing nobody get up, we will move on. There is no executive session or general assistance cases I'm aware of, so next up would be payroll and vendor claims. Need approval.
See our first payment to the new GIS system, SAM.
Along with what's typical this time of year is our property and casualty insurance is paid out throughout the different
Now, is that a yearly
departments.
or semi-annual?
Annual.
Because that's $264,926 to NERMA.
Yep.
So then the other question I had is, do we bid that? Is that an automatic flow to NERMA as the vendor that we've had forever? Is it opened up as this is considered to
We-
insurance company? How's that operate?
We have not. We take NERMA as the cooperative that it is, and the other offerings that they put out to us, which is education and opportunities like that. And then, we do get, obviously, because it's cooperative, we do get a little bit back if we have no accidents or have, certain things happen, dividend check back. So in the past, we have not bid that out. We have stuck with NERMA along with, I think, the 93 counties. It seems to me they're in the 80s that they have. They have a good share of the counties across Nebraska. And we see, we haven't done that, but for instance, like the Ag Society is with NERMA also. And then this year we've seen increases because of the storm last year. And I think when I called them after the June 7th storm last year, there was a storm every day that they got hit so far in the month of June across the state of Nebraska, so that's the increases. But to answer your question, no, we have not bid it out. They seem to be pretty good.
Interchange from Nerma.
Do I?
Do you get a magazine called Interchange?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, it did go up this year, undoubtedly. Any other observations on?
Most everything was pretty well straightforward, I think.
Yep.
Make a motion that we approve the payroll and vendor claims as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Brooks,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
Ziegler,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
and Overmark.
Yes. Okay, no funding transfers that are aware. We'll have to check. And then if we have to do it at the next one, we can take care of it then. Next up, we need to discuss and act on our bond payment to the Chase Bank. This was an agenda item last time. And that money was inadvertently paid a day early because the first hit on a Saturday, the treasurer went ahead and paid it a day early, but we didn't have the budget authority to pay it in that budget. It needed to be done in this budget. So what we need now is, because we had said we wanted to do it, and which it takes the commissioner's approval to do, and it comes out of the 3,700 fund. Now we come up with a plan to pay it out of inheritance last year, which means we have to make a journal entry to change the way the bill was paid. So we have the budget authority to pay it. And then in this budget year, 23-24, that bond payment will be paid back to inheritance from the 3,700 fund to inheritance. It's not that we didn't have the money. This is where the money and the budget authority thing come in hand. We didn't have the budget authority to spend, and we don't necessarily want to, well, we can't reopen the
Right.
budget because the budget's closed. We did talk with the state auditor, and the state auditor doesn't necessarily accept any amended budget after the budget is closed. So when I pitched this idea to the budget committee that was meeting that day, and then we contacted the state auditor, they said it was fine to do it that way. So what we'll need is a motion to correct the actions of last week, that the payment will come out of inheritance and then be paid back from the 3,700 to
Do you want this
inheritance.
as a resolution, or you just want it as a,
Amendment to that motion. Was that a motion? It was not a resolution, I did not believe.
okay.
So. Any questions?
So from last year's budget was paid out of inheritance, and then.
It will be, yes,
It will be, and from this year we'll repay them.
yes, because we have it. It's that budget authority thing. And unfortunately, the first hit is Saturday, and the thought process was, well, it's gonna be delinquent on Monday, but typically they go to the next business day. It would have been fine on the 3rd, but it was just paid a day early before we didn't have budget authority to pay it. So,
I move we amend the motion of payment to the bond payment to Chase Bank, to take that payment from the inheritance fund from the 22-23 budget, with the stipulation that in the 23-24 budget, that inheritance fund is reimbursed from the general budget.
from 3,700 fund, from the 37, from where it's supposed to come.
Where,
Second.
Thank you. Yeah, we just want to back it up with minutes, so we know,
Right.
that we can back that up, in case the auditor wants to see stuff. All right. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ziegler,
yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
and Overmark.
Yes, thank you. We will get that taken care of. Next up, we meet with Carrie, and I see she is back here, and she brought help, it looks like. And since you were here last, we have two new members, Woody Ziegler and Stan Bear.
Morning.
And we'll have you guys introduce yourself when you get sat down and we can hear you through the speaker.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Carrie Rodriguez. I'm the Chief of District 5 Probation. This is Jeff Van Holzer, he's the Chief Deputy. We come out every year to talk to you about the services that we provided the previous year, just as a general part of information and a part of our budget request to come talk to you guys, answer any questions you have, let you know what we've provided for services. The information covered is from January through December of 2022, so last year.
Good morning. Like Carrie said, I'm Jeff. I'm going to get started with you guys on this. On this first page here, we are the Judicial District 5. Currently, right now, we have 57 staff members, and as of last year, we serve 3,146 clients in our judicial district. In there is 11 counties that we currently serve. Right now, we have 4 district court judges and 5 county court judges, and on that, you will see that we serve on a lot of different variety of teams and meetings. On this next page, this breaks it down a little bit more into who all covers York County in general. On the bottom there, it talks about the individuals. In 2022, we served 566 individuals on probation, which is up from 506 the previous year. Of those 566, 55 were juveniles and 511 were adults. These next several pages here, we really break down the 566 into the different, so age, race, gender, ethnicity. It looks like the majority of individuals for adults that were served were from the age range of 30 to 41. And in juvenile, it would look like it was 17-year-olds. Next page there, we had 83% of the adult individuals placed on probation were white and 89% were juveniles. This next page here, next couple pages, it would appear as though we had 73% were female.
Oh, that's probably
That's male.
backwards.
Yeah, it's 73% should be male, and then 82% were male as well for youth. This page right here, this is a brochure that we hand out to everybody in our 11 counties. This is a brochure for our reporting center. The reporting center is in Columbus. This is a one-stop shop, essentially, of services that are provided by the state that we contract with different providers throughout our region. It provides anything from anger management, relapse prevention, retreatment, parenting classes. All those services there, they're provided by the state at no cost to the individuals on probation. We utilize those in all of our counties. This would be the one area where COVID really helped us out because everything's done by Zoom and WebEx. And so individuals can participate either in person or through those services alone. On the next page there, it's the back of the brochure. It's the same as those services. This is also open to the public if there is room. So we do have other county attorneys and agencies from the other counties that utilize that service as well. At the bottom there, you'll see that the state paid $109,224.59 for those services that were provided at the reporting center.
York is our largest jurisdiction behind Columbus now. And we do have money set aside to have those services, some of those services in person here in York, and so that they're not all over Zoom. But we've had problems trying to find a provider that will run those services for us and provide those classes here in York in person. So we've had several providers over the years, but none of them have lasted very long. So if you know any providers that are interested in help running some classes, even just behavioral change classes like money management, you don't have to be licensed to be able to help run those classes. So if you know of anybody, send them out.
Have you reached out to the school districts with the education program?
I don't know what the community education program is.
Well, I've been away for a long time, but they used to have a program that offered courses through southeast areas and even just local people that offered this kind of opportunity in the community. And so I don't know if the community, if the school districts still offer that, but I would reach out to the districts and school districts and see if they're offering community ed and if these would be the kind of classes that would function that way.
Okay.
Yeah, look at that, absolutely. Because there is, our next page actually kind of goes hand in hand with that, because there's a lot of research. There in 2021, UNO did a research study for us that showed that if you participated in this particular programming, that you were 4% less likely to recidivate. So if you did not, it was shown to be 22%. However, if you participated in these programs, it was at 18%. This next page here, this is a graph that breaks down all of those adults that were supervised in York County. This is the money that was spent on those individuals. If they don't have particular funding, so if they are without health insurance, there's money set aside by the state to help financially assist these individuals on probation. Last year, they totaled $126,073. It looks like the biggest money that was spent here is on transitional living of $69,840. So what that would be is if someone's coming out of the prison system and they don't have anywhere to go, we help set up residential residency for them to help get them transitioned back into the community and get them established. Other services on there, treatment, monitoring, alcohol monitoring, and behavioral programming. It looks like is where the majority of the money was spent last year. This next page here, this talks about the recidivism. So the recidivism is statute driven, and it is successfully released from probation 3 years without receiving a new criminal offense of a class 1 misdemeanor or above. So right now the state recidivism rate is at 20%, and it looks like here it was at 16%. So that's pretty significant. And I will turn it over to Carrie for talking about juvenile services.
Do you guys have any questions on the adult side of probation before we move forward?
So causes of the need for probation, are we, and the increases, you know, a couple of years ago, you're down 350 kids now, people, participants, now you're up to 566. Is that a drug influence? Is it, can you pinpoint and say these are the kind of things that are contributing to the increase in the need for people to be on probation?
There's not one thing that you can pinpoint because there's so many factors that play in. So your law enforcement agency has had a lot of turnover in the last couple of years in how they respond to crime and if they're fully staffed or not. Obviously, if they have more eyes on the street, then, which they are fully staffed now, I understand, or close to it, if they weren't anymore. Gary can speak to that. Then you have more eyes on the street, so then obviously you have more tickets being issued and arrests and those sorts of things that happen. Your county attorneys play a role in what they choose to do with individuals that are cited by law enforcement. Your judges play a role in how they choose to sentence people. So there's lots of different factors that come into play in how individuals come to us. The numbers include, for statutory budget reasons, investigations and/or probation supervision. So it could be somebody that had an investigation and then went to prison. It could be somebody that had an investigation and went to jail or got a fine, and we just did the investigation. Or it could be somebody that had an investigation and then got probation. So we duly served them. Or it could be somebody that just got a direct bench probation that we weren't ordered to do an investigation on. So there's also different methods, obviously, of how we serve people according to the numbers. Do you have anything to add about the numbers overall, Gary or Chris?
So one of the major renovations that the criminal justice system has done since 2015 is that around 2015, they realized, well, our prisons are at 200% or 150% of capacity. we need to start figuring out how to not send people to prison. So LB 605 came down in 2015 that mandated probation as the preferential sentence for any individual who's committing a Class 3A felony or below. So individuals that traditionally may have been sentenced to prison have a presumption to be sentenced to probation rather than the broad discretion left to the judges. So that was renovated in 2017, I believe 2019 and 2021. And then 2022, they redid the criminal omnibus bill, 2023, this year. They redid the criminal omnibus bill, which is going to declassify certain things as crimes, is going to change a couple of the levels of crimes and things of that nature. But the big shift was, rather than a presumption of, well, you committed the felony, so you're going to prison, it turned into you committed the felony, so we're going to give you probation. So that's probably the spike in numbers that we're seeing, combined with policies of the office among just rising case numbers in general.
And I would just add, in my personal opinion, I think it's post-COVID mobility also. So I think that 2-year stint where people were kind of shut down, especially on the interstate with the lack of traffic on the interstate. Now those avenues have been opened up, so I just think we're kind of seeing a rebound from people being isolated.
And our case numbers generally in the county attorney's office have just spiked. Juvenile docket, for instance, 2021 to 2023 has risen, I believe it's 229%. So it's a rise in numbers all around, and unfortunately York seems to be the aberration where we've got falling crime rates in a lot of places. York is seeing drastically rising crime rates.
Because of the 8180 corridor kind of issues, or just local residency issues?
Depends on who you ask. My personal opinion is that people forgot to be people during COVID. Forgot how to be people. And so they come out, and humans are social animals, and we forgot how to treat another as we would like to be treated. And so that's my personal opinion.
I haven't seen the data, but I heard that the data would indicate that York, the city of York, is actually giving with the commerce that goes on at the interchanges, more on the pace of the city of 20,000 versus a city of 8,000. So there is obviously an influx of commerce that is kind of disproportionate, perhaps, to the population that the county has.
Plus, we have the big balloon.
Okay.
Okay, so juvenile services over here is the start of the next page. We were doing a presentation last night on our problem-solving courts. Chris actually said that this number seems low to him.
The 185?
The $185,704 spent on juveniles from the state.
I would expect that number, based on my knowledge of the caseloads, I would expect it to be triple.
But probation is the payer of last resort after Medicaid and insurance. So Medicaid covers a lot of the treatment services for kids before we step in and help pay for that. So, and 40% of kids on probation don't require any funding. It's the kids that end up needing intensive therapy in their homes multiple days a week in order to keep that family intact or put that family back intact after they've been removed from the home, or the out-of-home placements that cost a lot of money. Detention centers, as you know, can cost close to $300 a day at this time. It looks like the most money spent here in York County was for a group home. So a group home is for a kid that doesn't have a safe family environment to be raised in. And then detention came after that for both the next two categories. And detention centers, if a youth, if it's deemed that the youth has a high risk to reoffend in the community and shouldn't be left unattended in the community, then they get locked in a detention center until we can find a treatment place or a suitable place for those kids to go, so. You guys only called us 3 times last year for juvenile intakes, which isn't a whole lot. It's actually a good thing to not have a whole lot of juvenile intake calls going on in your county. So we respond 24/7. If a juvenile has a new law violation and your law enforcement doesn't think it's safe for the community if that kid goes home when that law violation occurs, if there's a warrant out for their arrest, or if they're an out-of-state runaway, then we respond and go visit the kid at the law enforcement center and decide what should happen with that kid. Off the top of my head, I know that at least one of these was an out-of-state runaway, if not 2 of them last year that we responded to
Well,
over here.
I don't know if you're counting him as a runaway, but one of them was a severely abused human trafficking victim.
Yes.
And actually, a second one would have been considered a runaway because she identified as a runaway, but she was a human trafficking victim as well. One of whom was from 81, the other one was from 80.
Yeah. So they're called runaways, but individuals that are picked up in your county that need return to their state. So we'll come out and we'll help assist, especially with the trafficking instances, and helping get them the services that they need and then get them safely returned to their state. So we'll help arrange that transportation back. In this case, I think they flew home and we go to the airport with them and make sure that they get on that plane appropriately and get back home safely. This next page is the juvenile recidivism rate for District 5 probation versus the state. We pulled this on May 30th. I meant to pull it again this morning and I forgot. I thought about it at home and then I forgot on the road. Anyway, on that date, we were at the same recidivism rate for this as the state. And the definition for juveniles is if they've been successfully released from probation and they have a new law violation within 1 year of that successful release, then they're considered to have recidivated. It's 1 year for kids because of the impulsivity of kids versus the 3 years for adults. York and Seward have a combined problem-solving court under Judge Stecker. That's the next section of services that we provide. The problem-solving court is the most effective form of intervention that there is for long-term substance use individuals. Right now, there are almost 3,700 drug courts in this country. The York and Seward Drug Court has such a need that we are getting a second officer for this drug court, and that position hopefully will be posted within the next week or 2 for us to be able to hire that second officer. So the individuals in this program would go to prison if not for this program. The program is a minimum of 18 months, maximum of 36 months. The very first priority is to get these individuals into treatment. So usually they go to a residential treatment center and then step down levels of care to community treatment that could be 3 days a week and then down to 1 day a week of treatment. Along with that, they are required to call in for drug testing every morning, as is everybody on probation. We send them to those reporting center classes to help build skills around whatever skills they are lacking. They are required to be employed once they get out of residential treatment and can be employed, so we'll help with those services, set them up with housing, all of those things to try to get them restructured to become productive members of our society. We just had 5 individuals graduate from that program last month, and I believe we have 4 more coming up pretty soon, we said last night. So when you get an invitation to the graduation, please feel free to come up and hear the stories of those individuals. They work really hard. A lot of times they've lost their children and they earn them back, or their houses are falling apart around them and suddenly they have a job for the first time in their lives and start to begin to change their lives around. So their stories are pretty cool to listen to.
Carrie, what judge did you say it was influential with this piece?
Judge Stecker, the district court judge.
Saki?
Judge Stecker.
Stecker? Thank you.
And Judge Stecker will come talk to you about the program anytime you'd like him to. He's very passionate about the program. This next page shows you the state's dollars that were spent for the problem-solving court participants in York County. And just like your adult, the top category spent was for transitional living. So again, people that don't have places to live, and we give them a place to live while we try to get them stabilized. A lot of times individuals have burned every bridge with individuals in their lives, and that's why they end up transient. So hopefully we can help rebuild some of those relationships for them and get them some support by the time they're done with the program. The second largest category is that residential treatment that I talked to you about earlier that individuals go through as a part of the program. As of June 23rd, we had 22 individuals in this program with 6 pending applications. We expect that number to almost double once we get the second officer in that program up and running. This next page gives you the graduation rate. And the second one, I labeled incorrectly, sorry about that. That's the recidivism rate, not the graduation rate. So if you think about the individuals in this program, more than likely they've had substance use issues for most of their life, sometimes 20, 30, 40 years. So when you have individuals that have those long-standing histories and 79% of them make it through this program and graduate, that's pretty significant. Of those 79%, 78% of them did not recidivate after their graduation. So again, that's a pretty significant thing. As I mentioned, anybody on probation has to call in for drug testing. They call in every morning, 365 days a year. So we test holidays, weekends, and just randomly, of course, during the week.
Talking to a real person or a recording?
So they call into a recording, and that recording tells you whether there's drug testing today or not. So people don't know if they're going to be drug tested until they call into the number. They call into the number first thing in the morning. That way they don't have time to, what's the word I'm looking for? Mess with their tests, basically, to try to fake the test. When they have to report for testing, they have to report within an hour of being told that testing is happening that day. And the frequency with which you call in for testing is designed based on your risk to reoffend. So the longer you've had a substance use issue, the higher your risk to reoffend, the more you're getting called in for drug testing. If this is your first time into the court system, we've never seen you before, you're pretty pro-social, you're still coming in for drug testing, but not at the rate of somebody who's been a substance user for the last 20 years. So in York County in 2022, we collected 4,278 drug tests. This next page is just a cost comparison. Our juveniles, as I said earlier, are the most expensive individuals that we serve on probation, averaging about $20.99 a day for those kids that do require funding. The adult, you can see, I just put the different risk levels. And the most expensive adult is those individuals coming out of prison, and that's still only $9.68 a day, so about half the cost of a juvenile. The prison average cost per inmate was up to $105 a day. And the jail average cost, when I called county attorneys and sheriffs this year, some said $50 a day, some said $60 a day. So just left it there in the middle. This next page is to give you a guesstimate of if the county was to have to fund all of probation instead of our operating expenses, how much would it cost your county to try to provide the services that we provided in 2022? So the salary and benefits, training academy, state issued mileage, mileage reimbursements, cell phones, and then that reporting center classes category, I just took the percentage of your budget that you pay into out of the overall total. So that's why I said guesstimates. The actual probation services, problem-solving court services, juvenile probation services, and chemical testing services, those are the actual costs for York County. So the guesstimate comes out to about $934,000, as you can see. So how we figure our budget is based on statute. So as I said earlier, it's investigations or probation, individuals on probation, or the problem-solving courts, and your census population. So we figure out the census population percentage for each county in the 11 counties. We figure out the percentage of individuals served in each of the 11 counties. And then we have to average those two percentages and break out each county's overall percentages from there. York County then this year was about 14.1% of the budget. As I said, you're behind Platte County now for our second largest county that we're serving. So your budget increased $3,470.22 to $36,441.11. And again, it's just putting the calculations together. We did increase the bottom line of the budget by 3% this year. We hadn't increased the budget in the last several years, so inflation, number one, that 9% inflation was a hard hit. And then we added an additional problem-solving court officer, so that's why we asked for the budget increase this year. This last page just spells out the statute on the things that the state pays for probation versus the things the county pays for. So the items the county pays for are our space, and then you pay into the budget for our operating so that we can buy papers, pens, laptops, just the day-to-day things that individuals need to do their jobs. Do you guys have any more questions that we can answer for you?
We have ran just a little bit over, because we did have a 9 o'clock, so if we come up with any questions, I have Carrie's contact information, I can get it to the commissioners too. We appreciate you coming in. I know at one time coming to the York County Board of Commissioners meeting wasn't always the funnest thing you ever had to do, but I assume that that's changed just a little bit. I don't get near the phone calls I used to, let's put it that way.
No, I keep driving by thinking I should stop in and say hi to you, but then I don't want to bother you.
Don't talk to him near as much as we used to.
Thank you.
It's just part of it. We gotta have you, so appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Likewise.
Okay, we did have a 9 o'clock with Kay Wenzel.
I think she might be coming on the 23rd.
Oh, she's changed. Okay. Did she call?
Lori did. Lori Byers did.
Okay, so we do not have a 9 o'clock with Kay Wenzel. We do have a 9:15. Ann, are you Ann? We can go ahead and get you started with you then. I guess somehow we miraculously got back on schedule.
Well, good morning. My name's Ann, and I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. And I met you, Woody, at the workman's shop for the counties. The packet that I gave you is, if you open it up, you'll see exactly how many counties that do have our Legal Shield and the identity theft in their counties. helping their employees with the legal issues and identity theft that we offer. You know, Legal Shield is a word of mouth, and it really takes someone like myself who's a representative for Legal Shield to stop in and share what our services provide and do for your employees so that they're coming to work, not worrying about issues on the home front. And by offering it through your county, there is no cost to the county by offering it, but it does cover the employee, the spouse, or significant other, children up to the age of 26 as long as they're dependent, never married, or going to school full-time. They can be payroll deducted or self-pay. I have counties, it's kind of a split, you know, on how they want to handle that, but you have options. And we're really easy to use. There's no deductibles, no claims, and literally how it works on this overview sheet that is in your packet that shows the cost. The legal plan is on the left side and the identity theft is on the right side, but in a nutshell, here's how the Legal Shield works. Our members, anytime that you have an issue on the home front, you can call into our top provider law firm. And by the way, we have a top provider law firm in every state. In our state, they're located in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's Morrow, Poppy, Watermeyer, Lanowski. They have about 9 to 10 attorneys in their office. And every time the member has a issue, they call the provider law firm. They are connected with that lawyer in that area of law to take care of their situation. And, you know, whether it's, you know, a neighbor dispute, contractor dispute, landlord-tenant dispute, maybe they're purchasing a car or selling a car or even a home, they're getting that legal consultation where our provider or attorneys will look those contracts over and give them a recommendation or tell them how they're going to help them. So one member last week called me and said that, hey, he took his car in to have an oil change, and you know how they always have, they find other things wrong with your car, right? So they had to keep his car overnight. And in the morning they said to Steve, hey, we got your car done, but we had thieves come onto our lot and they stole took your catalytic converter. And he said, but by the way, we don't cover that. That's gonna have to come out of your own pocket. And it was around $1,000, $1,200 for them to replace it. And Steve said, well, wait a second, that's why you have insurance. Well, the owner wasn't gonna back down. He said, you know, if your car was parked on Walmart or Target, you would have to cover it. So Steve called the provider law firm, and our attorneys called the owner and told them whatever they told them, because when Steve went back in to get his car that afternoon, the owner came out behind his desk and said, Steve, listen, I'm so sorry. We took care of everything. No need to get out your wallet. And, you know, it really does pay to have an attorney in the back of your pocket all the time because of the world that we're living in and things that are happening to us. And now you have a reason to kind of fight it on your own. As you see on the back side of this, if you flip this sheet over, what our counties really love about this is the fact that we cover comprehensive wills for their employees, all for the membership of $21.95 a month. And that is for them, their spouse, or significant other to getting those completed. I was in Gage County a couple weeks ago, and two of the gentlemen in the roads department came up after my presentation to them. And they said that, one of them said that, yeah, my dad died, he didn't have a will, and us kids didn't know that he had property in 3 different states. And so he is literally watching his, you know, inheritance dwindle because of how expensive those attorneys are in the other state. states. So you heard me say that this is a coast-to-coast plan, so what he could have done, if he had our service, is that he could have called our provider law firm, and then our attorneys would set those meetings up with those attorneys in those states for our client, and he wouldn't have to pay the amount of money coming out of his pocket or inheritance to take care of whatever it is, and looking over contracts and getting things situated and solved for him. So with that being said, this plan is very highly utilized. And as you can see in the middle column, that's typically what an attorney would run. And then again, on the right side, everything that is listed that we do cover is at no cost to the member. It's just part of the membership. And we do have 2 lawyers that go home every night with cell phones, so that, you know, if an emergency happens, our attorneys are right there for them as well. With identity theft, you know how big that is, and with our identity theft ID Shield, we still stand as the #1 identity theft on the market for 6 consecutive years. We teamed up with Trend Micro. They're the global leader of cybersecurity in the country. And with that being said, our investigators are licensed and trained on how to clean that identity theft issue, no matter what kind of identity theft it is, quickly and efficiently for our members, bringing them back to that pre-theft status as if it never happened. And then we have a limited power of attorney on the back end of our service, where we can make those calls for our members, taking care of their issues so they can still stay on the job. They don't have to use their sick day or their vacation time in cleaning it up. And on this service, a lot of people really do want to see that there are VPN proxy 1 numbers for their laptop, their computer, and their cell phones, because what thieves are doing right now is they're hacking into your cell phones. They're looking at your personal emails, but they're also going to your photo files. And during COVID, everybody was taking pictures of their driver's license, insurance cards, you name it. Well, the thieves got smart, and they now can find your personal information right there on your photo files, and you don't know anything about it. So I have one member, he picked this up, and he knew he was part of a lot of data breaches in the past. And when he signed up, he got his membership number. You'll get that as a welcome email when you sign up. And we're now a now benefit. So once you get that membership, you can start using it for both of these services. So he called his investigator, or he downloaded his mobile app. And when he downloaded his mobile app, he noticed that he had 3 alerts. So we give live alerts when somebody's using your information on the deep and dark web. You'll get a live alert. You'll call. You'll be assigned to 1 investigator throughout your case. Well, he picked up the phone and noticed that he had the 3 alerts. And then when he called his investigator, he said that he was wanted in 3 states for 3 foreclosures, and he had never been to those states. So that's called synthetic identity theft. Just like I said, you know, they're looking for your personal information, and then they use a little bit of your information and they set up accounts. And so in this case, his investigator cleaned it up pretty quickly for him. And then Johnny said, and then he called his law firm, because the investigator, his specialist, said, you call the law firm and they'll write letters on your behalf and send it to the 3 states, which our attorneys did do for him. And like I said, he didn't have to use a sick day or vacation times. Our services cleaned it up fairly quickly for him. And then our attorneys did one more thing. His credit score was really shot. So our attorneys also took care of that for him as well. And as you see on your overview sheet, the ID Shield for a family is $22.95. It's $12.95 for an individual. But when the member bundles the 2 together on the family side, they get a discount off of the identity theft of $3. So I'm here today to not only introduce you to these services that we provide, and for the other counties that do have them, I am here just to see if this is something that I can too take care of your county employees with our services, depending on whether it's, bank draft or payroll deducted.
Okay, do we have any questions for Ann this morning? Obviously, this is on the agenda as a meet.
Right, it really is.
No action
And-
to take for us on this. Typically, when items like this are presented to the board, we take it in and then get back to you if
Right.
their services are needed. It usually goes to a subcommittee to look at just a little
Okay.
bit on this too. So like I say, does anybody have any other questions for Ann?
And my contact information, of
It's-
course, is
yep,
right there. If somebody
there.
has a question, please feel free to.
Do you have a relationship with NACO? I know you must have been. at
Yes,
the-
I
at the-
do.
yeah.
Matter of fact, they have given me their blessings on just offering it to the counties because it's totally up to the county to make those decisions. But yes, I have been in contact with NACO for
Okay.
quite some time.
Okay.
So,
Well, if nobody has any questions, Ann, I thank you for coming in
thank you,
today.
and thank you, Woody.
Yep,
And Kelly, thank you for helping me set that up.
you have a great day.
All right, you too.
Okay, next up, we do have a discuss and act on approving a housing authority committee recommendation. Bathroom renovation, everybody should have had that in there. It seems strange that they continually only get one bidder to bid.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what's going on there, but I guess at least one is bidding it. It seems to be kind of an expensive bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's too bad when you only get one bid, you can't see how competitive they are. They come in a fair bit higher than the
Estimate?
estimate.
Yes, it is. But it is also, Brian's got his approval on it too. And I assume that went to the other
Yeah.
subcommittee also to give
It goes
approval.
to them, they approve it, and then it comes to you guys to approve that they approved it. He did say that it's been thriving now that you put it did that article on it.
Getting more.
Yeah, and all the other towns that they weren't getting any information from, they were getting
Starting
people
to.
starting to go. So
Good.
it's done a great job.
Okay.
If they've recommended it and our committee has approved it, there's not much you can do when you only get one bid, but to move forward, so I'll move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Gross,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
Ziegler,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
and Furlong.
Yes. Next up, discuss and act on a resolution to issue tax sale certificates. While mine is trying to open up, I think there was, 4 or 5 on there that,
5.
thank you. And this is just a motion, isn't it? Just-
Well, it looks
Does
like
it have
it's
to
a
be a
resolution.
resolution? Yes. So we'll need a resolution to approve these. And
Looks like all of them.
we all get a sign too.
Mm-hmm.
There it came, done
Did yours? Mine's still loading, but anyway.
There's the hard copy. Gresham, 3 of the 5.
Mhm.
I'll make a resolution that we approve this.
Okay. Tax sale list. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Bear,
Yes.
Ziegler,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
Gross,
Yes.
Overmeyer.
Yes, and we all get to sign it before we get out of here too. That does kind of bring us to the end of this, other than committee reports. We will be back. We'll get a break between, we'll be back at 10:30, and then we'll continue on with the board equalization until we work through these first 30 plus. And then, so we have another meeting scheduled for the board equalization a week from today at 9 o'clock. Those remaining 20 plus are gonna have an option to meet with the company that dealt with commercial properties, Darrell Standard, this Saturday with the assessor, and then we'll move forward on those at a special meeting, which will be next week, the 18th, like I say, at 9 o'clock. That will be our third meeting, or we'll have 3 meetings, I guess, in a month. But because of the time frame, they have to be into the state. The last meeting, it would have been the day of the last meeting, and so chose to do it that way. So committee reports, who wants to start?
Tech committee's meeting tomorrow, so we'll be involved with that, discussing phone lines for one thing, and then cybersecurity might come up again, so. And the veterans haven't met. I did have a conversation with Mitch, talking weeds, and he dropped by the brochure handing out I'd asked about, well, what do they look like? So I got all kinds of good information about what the weeds look like and some of the chemicals that are being used, and some of the challenges he's facing with weather and wind and factors like that influence the ability to spray or not spray. So, of course, after last night's hail, there's crop out there, so we might be spraying a lot more. So, yeah,
Is that everything, Woody?
yes.
Okay. Jack?
Just the only meeting I've been to is the joint communications meeting that was on the 7th. Again, we discussed budget more than anything else. I assume that will be over pretty soon.
Aging meeting tomorrow.
Aging meeting tomorrow. I'll be there.
Is that everything? Is that everything?
Everything.
Okay. Stan?
Met with Harvey this morning, and Daniel and I did, and of course his phone was ringing and ringing because of the storm, and he seems to have it all intact. He seems to have it. He's not too worried about it. So they're putting out a lot of road closing signs, barriers, and talked about these bridges that are coming along that they're working on, and Road 3, talked about that, fixing up some bad spots. That's about it. He said he wouldn't be able to make it to this morning here, so. He'd like to have 2 new maintainers though.
Andy mentioned to pick up in a few trucks.
Yeah, we'll pick up a few trucks. So he's pretty jovial this morning and handling things as they come. That's the only committee meeting I went to this last 2 weeks.
Okay. Daniel?
So we heard we're gonna try and meet as tech committee tomorrow. Also tomorrow will be a YCDC exec committee. We met as a budget committee and have been going through all of the numbers that have been submitted. Hopefully by the end of the week, we can have some recommendations back to the department heads and elected officials on where we would like to see the few numbers changed, then, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but hopefully then the following week we can have those numbers with, our budget coordinator Jill, in hopes that we can have a, draft of a budget in the hands of this board, by the 1st of August. So that's our goal anyway. And yeah, that kind of wraps that up.
Okay. Both the meetings that I attended, Daniel and myself have met on a few occasions along with Kelly. The budget requests this year are interesting, and there will be some challenges ahead, I think, to say the least, of how we're going to make this budget work for us this year in lieu of not just the actions of the board the last week, but the actions of the board a year ago too. I mean, it's not just all about the 1%. The 1% plays a part into it, but so does last year. And I went back and I found an email that I had sent to everybody September 9th last year, warning that the 23-24 budget was going to be tough. So that will be a part of our conversation as we go forward about what we'll have to do. Call center meeting was mostly budget, mostly wages. Where do we land? The wages are the big deal. And we just lost an employee in the call center this week to the wages. So it's the nature of the game. With the roads department a year ago, this board decided, was it a year ago, to up the wages a couple times in a year to try to get the roads department fully staffed, and there we still sit at that same 4 or 5 behind. So I think it's just going to be a continual thing. I mean, it is what it is. Things have changed. We do have a wall finally coming for HR. That should be, I'm surprised it didn't get called today. That wall is finally in. We're going to continue on the updates upstairs. We've done the new carpeting on the main floor, continue upstairs. We've got the county attorney's office, I believe, done. We did the updates to the courtrooms as they wanted. So we're just working through all that just as we go. So unless anybody has anything else, do you have anything else? You don't need to talk about your special election or anything coming up? Okay. Well, at this time, we will adjourn and we will be back here in an hour.